Hey, what's up guys? So let's see if I can demonstrate this using Volcano on several instruments so that hopefully it makes a little bit of sense. So in here what we're looking at, I'm gonna show you like step by step, but basically this is the result. This starting off plucky, and then with automation opening it up, and it's these synths playing together. So if we do but it's one filter affecting them all. That's over here, the Volcano. And it's using MIDI, which it's getting from here. Alright, so how does this work? Well, step one would be to just make your leads. So you make the like open, full sound that you're really happy with. So that would be part over here. Now it might sound a little thin. I actually have a sub bass that kicks in after this little pluck build up thing, so that's how it's sounding. But the sub bass is not being affected, so we can ignore that one. We want to focus on this. So right here, this is like the main theme, and it's fully open, so it's how it's gonna sound later when the kick comes in. But then to make this plucky sound, so I'm using, as I mentioned, I'm using Volcano from Fabfilter, and basically the thing that's a little bit tricky why I'm doing this video is to get the envelope generator on the filter to work from a MIDI signal. Now in Ableton and FL you can just basically tell another MIDI channel, like you would do like this one, to send its MIDI information to Volcano straight up. Super easy. I don't think there's a way to do that in Logic. I've really sat for days like trying it out. If you do know a solution to do something like that you could just place, because right here I have a summing stack of the synths, so all of these synths are sending their audio into this summing stack, which is bus 1. So all of them, as you can see, the output is bus 1, bus 1, bus 1. So everything that's going on in the synth itself, if we solo one, let's take away that guy for now. So right here we have some EQ, some directional mixer, glue. So everything, this is super basic. So the sound starts here, it goes through these effects, and then the sound later goes to bus 1, which in this case is this thing right here. So here all the synths together are coming in, and the only thing I'm doing here, because they were coming in a little bit hot, just gain staging, basically just lowering the gain because they were coming in a little bit too loud. I could have done even better gain staging and changing the volume like before everything, so it sounded good, so it didn't really bother. But that's the only thing that's going on in here, is just making sure that the overall gain is not going like in the red. Before I used to do this, that you want to process your leads as a group, so you would take all of this and it goes into here, and then in here maybe you to do some EQ, you do like compressor and stuff to like mush it together and make it more together, and do a lot of processing and reverbs and everything. And the problem is that then when you start to mix in Volcano, it just doesn't work, because then the filter is like in the wrong end of the chain and everything gets fucked up. because the problem is that the filter needs to come in before like the different like reverbs and stuff like that, since these synths have huge reverbs, and if you're doing the filter after you're doing the send for the reverbs, the problem there is that you are then hearing the reverb, like the reverberation of the full-on like synth going full blast all the time. So even though the synth is getting plucked by the filter, you're hearing in the background how the reverb is, you know, all over the place. And I was scratching my head around for a while, like, why the hell is this happening? And it's of course because I was sending on this, the sum of these. This is where I was sending. First I was sending like individually, and that just became shit. So then I was, okay, no, I have to do it later. So I took off all the sends to the reverbs and delays from these, put it on the sum, as I always did before. And as you can even see, I have them there, but I muted them because the problem is that the filter has not kicked in already. The filter is actually coming in after the sum, this was the most confusing part for me. So over here we have that freaking Volcano filter, and it's after this that I actually start to treat my group as a whole, because then I'm affecting the sound after the pluck, if you know what I mean. So after the sound's becoming a pluck, that's when I'm adding, it's just nothing fancy, it's just a little bit of inflator, a bit of EQ, and some more EQ, don't even remember when I did it, but here comes the reverb and delay sends. And then when you're actually playing, getting that plucky sound, the reverb is matching that. Oh wait, I don't have them all. There we go. So you hear that. So if I were to put it here, listen to this. You see, it's completely fucked up because the reverbs are getting that full-on blasted signal because you're sending the signal to the reverbs before it's getting plucked by the Volcano. So this is one of the things that was really confusing. And another one can be just, how the hell do you get the right type of Volcano? Because if you put Volcano anywhere here, like directly on the synth or on the like even if you put it directly on the synth channel where you have the MIDI and everything, it can't pick up the MIDI, because that's sadly a thing I feel is a flaw in Logic, and could easily be updated. I hope they do. But the thing is, to make something react to MIDI in Logic compared to other DAWs, it needs to be a MIDI controlled effect. Like there's some things I use like that, which like isotope, what's it called? Stutter, isotope stutter, where you can have like these cool effects, and you want to be able to control that with like your MIDI keyboard and just go crazy with it, and then it needs to be a MIDI controlled effect. So how you would do that is you just press a new thing, software instrument, there we go, and then you have, instead of choosing, you know, your things like over here or your instruments, you actually have down here something that's called, can we see that? Yeah, great. So AU MIDI controlled effects. Now these are plugins that Logic recognizes are MIDI controllable effects. And here, my friends, is where you can find the Volcano 2 as a MIDI controlled effect. So we do that. And now, if we were to put MIDI on this channel, so basically we could just copy from one of the synths, so we get the notes on the same place. Could just copy that up. Now this MIDI right here, if we choose, let's see there, and you know, you have this little icon right here is the trigger by MIDI. And now all of a sudden, let's see if we can we just, it's not gonna do anything because, you know, we have no sound coming into it. But see here, this is where you see that it's taking MIDI, that it's taking information to trigger it. And then you just, you know, go on the thing there, and we should be able to see it. Oh, I don't remember. Well, doesn't matter. But it's basically that's how you do it. And I think oh wait, yeah, this is completely wrong. We can look at the settings then on the one I actually have. But basically that you're setting that this envelope triggered by MIDI is hitting the filter so that it goes basically up and down. That's basically what you're doing. And a lot of tutorials show you that. But what's confusing is that, okay, we have to load Volcano as its own like channel for this to pick up the MIDI. Now, how do we get all the sounds in? So it's basically using the Logic sidechain thing. This can be used by some instruments just as a trigger that you don't hear. So if you use this thing, because this is in every window of every plugin in Logic. Like this black thing here is the same for every single plugin, more or less. I think some don't have this, but I don't know. Anyways, but if you're using this thing like on a compressor, then it's set up that way that you don't hear the signal coming in. It's just taking that information to use it as ducking or whatever. But in Volcano, using this is actually letting that audio come through. So what we have to do, and this is where it gets kind of fuzzy if you're not really like good at your routing, which I really like in Logic. But basically what you do is this. So let me close this one and let's use the one I have so it's easier to follow along. So basically I did this. First I made these synths, right? One by one, made a good blend, something that I thought sounded good together. Listening to this part again, I'm just gonna repeat some so it really gets clear. So ignore what I'm doing up here for now. This is what I started with, okay? These, right? So next up, what I did was I selected them all, I right-clicked, I chose Create Track Stack and Summing Stack. That made it so that all the outputs on the individual things went to this thing right here, which became bus 1. It's going to become something else if you already are using bus 1. So Logic creates a bus for you. Here's the mixer view. And the second you choose like another bus that you haven't used before, it's just going to create one, place it at the end. Man, this project is so freaking big. It's going to place it at the end, and it's going to end up over there. All right, so far so good. We made this and we chose so that the output is all the sounds is going in here. Now the mistake I myself made, because I recently really figured out how to do this, what I did was then I, just as I usually do, I started to do all my group processing here. So later what I noticed was that I had to remove all that. So on here you don't want to do anything. This is just gonna work as a bridge for you to get the sum there, so it's just one channel with all the collective audio from your different synth layer, because I'm guessing that you're using several like me. So here the sound is coming into bus 1, and as I said, it was coming in a little bit hot, so I just used this to just get the gain down. And then after that, I sent it myself. So this had just a stereo output. I changed this to a bus that wasn't used before. So, this was one of the first things I did in the project. So I just used bus 2. So up in here somewhere, Logic created bus 2, which is over here, and it's nothing on it. All right. It's just again, the sound is passing through. So it's going into bus 1 from the synths. Through here, which should be nothing, or maybe just a gain to just lower the gain a little bit. And then it's going to bus 2. Should almost made a little map so you can follow it along. But after bus 2, I set the output to no output. Now this is of course super important, because after this, what I do is I create the MIDI controlled track like you saw. So I pressed the plus, just an empty software instrument, go down to MIDI controlled AU effects, open up Volcano, and in Volcano I go to the sidechain, I go to bus, because here if I would take like, I would only get one of the instruments if I, for instance, took audio. So this is why we're grouping everything first, because we want the one filter to control them all, to rule them all. So we pushed them into bus 1, as you remember, and then it went to bus 2, so that we can later, maybe that's one extra step now that I'm actually thinking about it, that maybe you could just choose no output on the bus 1 and maybe use that directly. You could try that. That could work. Anyways, this way I know it works. So basically, you know, as I said, we took it to bus 2 and then no output. So the sound is going to bus 2 and then it's stopping there. It's not going out to the speakers, because on this one we choose bus 2. And now the sound will start to come in here, go through Volcano, and on the Volcano track we have to the stereo output. So then it's like coming out again and then going out to the stereo. And this is why we have then the processing. This is like why this is the final step. So just remove that copy one. So the one I named Pluck Filter 1 is basically the Volcano, as you see, taking the audio, the collective audio from bus 2, which there was leading nowhere, and going into my then final like group effect thing. And also, oh, these are actually supposed to be on, and those are off. Good. And here is where I place now the reverb sends. All right. So the sound is being altered by Volcano, which looks like this basically. So you just drag this over to there. I think I used like some random preset to just get one simple filter. Again, the symbol that looks like that, like a MIDI cable, and and then just copy it over, you know, one whole and MIDI thing, just copy it over so that it reacts to the same MIDI as the other synths are playing. And that is it. It's I could have done this way shorter, but I really, really wanted you to understand and grasp the enormous long journey the audio has to take to pass through the right things and to not fuck up your reverb sends, so you're sending from the right point in the chain, basically. And the result is this. And well, another little annoying thing, if you don't solo the filter, you're not gonna get any sound, because if you're just soloing this, it's playing, but you know it's going to the bus 1 and then bus 2 that doesn't have an output, and you're not hearing anything. So you have to press solo on the filter to hear anything and be able to, you know, preview what you're doing. And now I pressed the solo on the group, so all of them are playing, and I think if I okay, yeah, that works. I think before I had to like mute the others. It was really annoying. I think they've changed that actually. But yeah, so then as you see, you know, the one that lights up is the one that's soloed. So you can see, like, if you just want to listen to these two, you can do that. Or like that. Or just one of them. Just while you're working on it and just, you know, get it really perfect. But yeah, that's basically it. So yeah. So here it goes down again. And I mean, I don't have to explain how you do an automation, I hope. Should be pretty self-explanatory. A little like bonus trick. If you don't like, some plugins can have like this, like an insane amount of like parameters and you don't know which one you want to do this one, and here it says filter one freak, but a little trick, you can actually change this thing right here to touch. So let's say you have some, let's select something else, like, I don't know, whatever, that one, sure. But you want to alter this thing on this plugin. So if you press touch and just touch it a little, you just wiggle a little bit, see that it changes to it, and that way you know exactly, like, oh, there's that parameter, that's what it's called. Really important though, as soon as you have it, change back to read, because with touch enabled, what's going to happen is, even if you're playing back without having pressed the record button and you touch this knob, it's going to write that MIDI, that automation data in here. So it's going to be super messy. So yeah, but it's a good thing to just catch the parameter, what it's called, if you're not sure. Yeah, but then just go back to read. So don't fucking anything up. But yeah, that's like, I guess that's it. And I hope this was helpful to you. And yeah, toss me a DM or something if there's anything else you're wondering.